welcome to the NHRA Spring Nationals in the fall. You're on the award-winning In Wheel Time Car Show. Just ahead, we're going to speak to a few of this weekend's competitors on the pro side here at Houston Raceway Park. Inside our new car showroom, this segment, we're going to have the Infiniti Q50. And later on, we'll have the Toyota RAV4. We'll give you an in-depth review of each of those. You'll also get this week's automotive news, King Conrad's Car Clinic, This Week in Auto History, and more. Just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Show for Saturday, October 24th, 2020. Howdy to you. Along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin, and off camera is our engineer, making a rare appearance today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is David Ainsley. Yes, thank you very much.
And
Thank you so much for being here today, because guess what? We wouldn't be on the air if it weren't for him, so thank you.
Okay. And if you want to know where the comes from, send a comment to info@inwheeltime.com and we'll privately tell you what that means.
And by the way, I wanted to remind everybody that this broadcast is sponsored by Toyota. So
yes,
thanks to Toyota for backing us up today.
Well, they also ended up providing us with a selection of Toyota racing guests, and as
very
well.
cool.
Yeah. And by the way, speaking of Toyota, we've got the Toyota marketing manager coming on, but I did have a story that came across Automotive News this week. Toyota and Lexus production is nearly back to where it was a year ago, according to top Toyota North American executives, adding that they expect a continuing recovery for the industry to yield 14.5 million U.S. in sales this year, 14 million cars in the U.S. That result would still be down from 17.1 million U.S. light vehicle deliveries in 2019, but significantly above the levels of this past spring during the height of the coronavirus pandemic. Sales cratered to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 8.7 million in April.
Nice recovery.
And have climbed every month since, according to Motor Intelligence. They look at those kind of numbers. Can you imagine working for Motor Intelligence? No, thank you.
Yeah, everything.
Don wouldn't want to have anything to do with intelligence.
Exactly. Everything seems like it's going to have that asterisk for 2020. 2020 is just done so much weird stuff to everything.
Bob Carter, Toyota North America head of sales, said pickup trucks, crossovers, and hybrid sales remain particularly strong for Toyota, despite very short dealer stocks of all of those vehicles. He said the automaker's pickup plant in San Antonio, which makes both the full-size Tundra and the mid-size Tacoma pickups, is running at maximal overtime to keep up with demand. And still, he said Toyota's depleted dealer lot should start to fill up to normal levels soon. He said he doesn't see a second production shutdown on the horizon, even if the virus spread continues to grow. Well, that's good news. You know, we're learning how to deal with it.
That's right. That's it.
Because, and that doesn't mean that everybody is still protected. We're all masked up here according to NHRA rules, and that's why we're doing this. And so we've learned to kind of cope with it, if you will. We have to kind of take chances sometimes by going out in public, but not lock ourselves in a closet.
Well, you got to live with it. I mean, ultimately, and learn how to live with it. That's
what we do every day. We think about things, whether you get into a car, whether you're going to the grocery store, you think about risk and rewards, and you make a decision based on what you know, and you go on, and that's what we're having to do.
How many times have you gotten out of your car to go into a store for whatever reason and forget the mask? And you either have to go back to the car, or someone offers you a mask in that retail center.
Or you pick one up you find on the ground.
I usually get the first one I come to.
Wait a minute, wasn't that purple glove that was laying around here from an earlier exam of some sort?
No, I usually have at least one in my back pocket, sometimes two.
Several in the,
But you got to remember, if you're using reusable masks, wash them
washable, right,
on a regular basis.
And that's the kind you're wearing right there.
Oh yeah, I've probably got 15 of them that I kind of keep in rotation, and I'm washing all the time.
You got the BG, and then you got the Hello Kitty one.
I got the Hello Kitty one.
And my Little Pony.
No, My Little Pony. I wasn't too into the pink one. No, the ponytail. The ponytail was kind of irritating.
That's the My Little Pony tail. That's the one that you were. No, you used to be into that.
Yeah. There was that.
We hope that you're not going back to that. We didn't.
Yeah, who knows?
He paused. He was pausing.
Well, no, I found this great place to get a haircut now,
Lord.
so I love to go get a haircut now because they have a bar.
Would you
And while
would you
wait,
like that
finally
now?
got
He
it.
likes to
Right.
go to get a haircut.
After
Yeah.
11 years I've known him, he hadn't got it cut. Now he likes to get a haircut.
He goes every 2 weeks now.
Oh my Lord! Well, there is that.
He doesn't look like Jerry Garcia anymore.
Wow.
That could be good or bad.
Well, it depends, I guess. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to bring Mike Childs in a little early because we can, and we're going to. So thank you for joining us today on the In Wheel Time Car Show, coming to you live from Houston Raceway Park and the NHRA Spring Nationals. And we appreciate you riding along with us. We've got more of the show. Mike Childs coming up right after this.
As America gets back on the road, a lot of things have changed, but not the need for drivers to be safe. With that in mind, it's time to review our safe driving checklist. First, you're in your car. Check. You're sober. Check. You're wearing your seatbelt. Check. Your phone is put away. Check. Make sure you follow the speed limit. And remember, law enforcement is enforcing traffic safety laws in our community to save lives. Paid for by NHTSA.
I forget that I'm jocking records again. I've got this new little thing over here that David and Mike have given me.
You're setting records too.
Now I'm setting records. So the fun thing about this is it's like a throwback for me at the beginning of my career, which is long before you were born, and I jocked records. And so here I am, man. I got the buttons on the console to push.
He's still all
yeah,
thumbs.
baby.
I was going to say, back then he was doing an LP and a stylus and a
there's
swing
something wrong
arm
with that?
turntable. No, that's become all the rage now.
Joining us here in our remote studio at Houston Raceway Park, Mr. Mike Childs. He's the Motorsports Marketing Manager for Toyota Racing.
What a fun job that's got to be.
Dude, you know that all of us want to be you. You do realize that.
This is a great job to have. I love working for the company. I've been with Toyota for 24 years.
What? Wait
Yeah.
a minute, you're not old enough to be with the company for 24 years.
Well, I started almost out of college with Toyota, and I worked my way through the ranks. I worked in the field office, and hearing all the great information about Toyota that you just read
Thanks.
really brings back some great memories of where I started. And what really it comes down to is satisfying our customers, driving great products, and taking care of our dealers. So hopefully we can have a little bit of a showcase of that today here.
Well, I tell you what, Toyota has really made headway, big time, and solid effort in all of racing, in all of motorsports. I mean, look what you've done in NASCAR and NHRA. I mean,
IMSA.
all of that.
Yeah, you named a lot of the big ones, but we've really been around many years, over 40 years in motorsports. We basically have represented every type of racing, whether it's open wheel, Baja truck, rally car, NASCAR, IndyCar,
Le Mans.
kart. It just keeps going on and on and on. And we've gotten out of some of these, but we're looking forward to get back into some of these also, especially with some of the different products that we have coming and the different drivetrains that are available, so we can compete in some different types of racing and really showcase what our vehicles can do.
What does Toyota get out of all of this? Because it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, so our engineering side, TRD, Toyota Racing Development, based out of Costa Mesa, California, and Salisbury, North Carolina, helped tremendously in getting our cars to go fast. But it's one thing to race, but to take that technology from what we learned on the track and how do we apply that to the vehicles. So we compete in 2 series here in NHRA, Top Fuel and Funny Car. And Top Fuel, we don't see a lot of resemblance of cars, but the amount of information we learn on track we can apply to those vehicles. In Funny Car, now you have a body that looks very similar to a Toyota Camry. And now how do we take that aerodynamics and apply that to a new car? And how do we take that information and apply it to future vehicles that we're in design development for? So what we get from TRD, that information is vital to our engineers that design our production cars.
And somewhat, how do you change your production car in its shape to help your race car as well, because they have to fit a certain template. So as you're changing your production car to make your race cars go faster as well, so it works both directions.
It's all about aerodynamics, right? So what gets through the air the quickest? What cuts that air? and you'll see that design of the Toyota Camry. And not only is it applied here on the NHRA side, but we have applied that on the NASCAR side as well, which helped us win a championship last year.
I have a question. You mentioned the East Coast and California and, of course, North Carolina. Why East-West? Is there a logistics reasoning behind that for the R&D, or is it just that's where it happened?
Well, we all started in California.
Right.
We moved our headquarters from Torrance, California to Plano, Texas, just 4 hours away.
God bless
it.
Texas.
It is a great place to work. I moved from New Jersey for TRD, and when we moved to Texas for headquarters, that is a separate division. It's under the umbrella Toyota, but they wanted to stay there, one, because of the competition of people. So North Carolina, as we all know, is big in the NASCAR side.
Right.
So we have these associates and team members that have been with us for many, many years. Hard to uproot all those families to move to North Carolina. But we also know that if we take them all there, we might get that competition and be able to poach people from other places.
Yeah.
And we have some great associates, about 200 or so in Southern California, that work on this program right here.
And you guys have done a real good job of kind of choosing some of the top level teams to associate with as well that help, with the Kalitas here, as well as with Schumacher and some of his cars, and then Joe Gibbs and that whole family of cars that you run in NASCAR. So you guys kind of go in and cherry pick the top level teams to help you do what you do and your success.
I mean, the bottom line is we want to win, and we set up an alliance with teams that have great track records, have a lot of the same morals that we do on the Toyota side. I mean, we have our different pillars that we look at, and we have a lot of loyalty to the teams that we have. And when you look at the Coletta family, Antron Brown and Don Schumacher and DC Motorsports, I mean, these are all teams that we look forward to not just have a one-year deal, but many, many years down the road.
And what a great persons those are. It's one thing to sponsor a car or have your name on the car or drive the car from the factory, but to have great spokespeople, I mean, it means tons. And I'm really referring to great spokesperson, great ambassador, not only for racing, but he draws fans. He is a huge force in this field.
And he's a hoot. He was one of our best interviews we've had out here at NHRA, and actually I think he was one of the interviews the show won an award with because of Antron, because he's just a hoot to talk to.
Well, that's in all automotive. It's the camaraderie and the guests and the knowledge that they have is what they do.
Yeah, we have a very special relationship with all of our drivers. It doesn't matter what sanctioning body we work with, what teams, what drivers, but they learn very quickly that we are very close, like family and friends.
What do you do here during the weekend, like this weekend? What are you doing?
So
besides talking to us?
It's all about marketing, right? So normally we would have a Toyota Racing experience here display. We take that to about 12 to 15 tracks throughout the country, and it's a way for us to interact with our consumers. So one, showcase our production vehicles. So we highlight usually like 3 production vehicles, and through our marketing we find out what NHRA fans want to see at track. So high volume cars, Camry and Tundra are probably the 2 most prominent vehicles that people want to know more information about. And when you look at NHRA fans in particular, they are more of a do-it-yourselfer type consumer. So they want to modify their vehicles. And when you look at our trucks, there's a lot you can do on them. So with Tacoma and Tundra on display most weekends, they all want to know, hey, how do I put a lift can on? How do I change the look of it? Can I put wheels on it? Can I change the suspension? And they all want to do something different, and they want to be unique. And we have a lot of opportunities for them to do that with our vehicles. But at the end of the day, what do we normally do? We talk to a lot of consumers, we talk about our product, and fortunately, most of them have great stories about their product. The bad thing is they say, hey, I love my 4Runner. Great, we always want to know what year and how many miles. Oh, it's a 2001, it's got 300,000 miles on it, it's bulletproof, which is great, but we're 20 years later and we need them to update.
Yeah, exactly.
We want them to be in the safe vehicle, which, not saying that the 2001 was not safe, but all the technology advances that we've had over 20 years. When we talk about, hey, I'm just going to hand this car down to my 16-year-old son or daughter that's going to drive. So we try to talk them out of that. why don't you think about getting a new Toyota that has ABS brakes and traction control and 8 airbags and so on and so forth to protect your child. And the light bulb goes off and they say, you know what, that's a great idea. I'd rather have them safer.
Or is something as silly as we would think today, everything's got Bluetooth. I have a 01 model automobile. It has no Bluetooth. It doesn't have XM satellite radio. It doesn't have those things. And I drive a different new car every week to test and report on this show. And man, I'm telling you, the difference in 20 years is huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's really what we do. A lot of marketing, a lot of talking about our product, where it's produced. We have huge messaging right now to talk about the number of people we employ at Toyota. There's about 35,000 Toyota associates working in plants. We have about, add on the number of dealers and the number of suppliers, now it's about 135,000 people in the United States that we somehow employ and make America what it is.
Well, I was fortunate a couple of years ago because of journalism thing that I'm into with Texas Auto Writers Association to take a tour of the plant. I think it was in Mississippi that was producing the Corolla.
Yeah.
And this is a plant that actually stamps its body panels, and they took us all the way 5 miles back into the plant, it seemed like, and to see these great big things come down and make a whole side of a car, and to watch the car being built, and 6 minutes later it shoots out the other end. It is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I've been to a lot of factories, but Toyota, the Japanese do something a little bit different than other plants do that are made in America. I've been to a Ford plant. There's something there that's just different. I went to the plant also in San Antonio. What a great experience that was. And I don't know whether they're still doing tours there. I know that they shut them down for a while. But if I was just going to encourage anybody, if they ever wanted to see how a car is made,
how complex it is as well.
But it's the most amazing thing to watch being made.
Yeah, I've had the chance to go through a few different plants in the United States and Canada, and I will tell you, it is top notch. I mean, the people are all there to make one thing right, and that's a vehicle.
Yeah.
So because we know the end result is that consumer that we want to make sure is safe and happy with it. But I was going to say, if you gentlemen ever want to go to San Antonio plant and see the production of Tacoma and Tundra, you've got my card. We'll set you up.
I'm in.
There's a.
Did you take that?
It's right there.
Don't lose that card. But Tundra that is produced in San Antonio that's the only plant in the world that produces the Toyota Tundra. So every vehicle that rolls out of there either goes to the United States or some other country within the world, which is a huge point of, people talk about, Toyota's made in Japan or Canada or Mexico or Canada, what have you. They're made all around the world.
It's worldwide now.
But Tundra is only made here.
Made in Texas.
You got it.
Well, we understand that Toyota has actually extended its agreement to serve as the official car of the NHRA again.
Yeah, breaking news this week. The announcement just the past day or so. 3-year extension with NHRA, official vehicle. We are very happy to continue our relationship with NHRA. It's really important for us. I mean, this is a different type of consumer, and we want to continue to give back to these consumers as much as possible. And we'll stay with the Toyota Fast Lane on the track. So you watch the television, you always see the Toyota Fast Lane
Absolutely.
there. But a ton of branding here and great relationship with that team.
So where are we going to find you hanging out later on today and tomorrow?
I'm basically all over the place, but I'm usually near the funny cars or Top Fuel cars.
I got your
talking
card.
to those guys.
I got your card.
You're always welcome to call me.
Oh, gosh.
Mike Childs, thank you so much. We really appreciate you stopping by and talking to us today. He's the head of Toyota Motorsports marketing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John.
We've got coming up a car review, and we want you to stay tuned for that. That's just ahead, right here from the Houston Raceway Park and the NHRA Spring Nationals in the fall on the In Wheel Time Car Show, right after a quick stop. Okay, thanks for joining us for today's In Wheel Time Car Show, and we appreciate you joining us. We're coming to you live today from the Mopar Express Lane NHRA Spring Nationals at Houston Raceway Park, and our show today sponsored by Toyota. All right, time now for this hour's car review. Mr. Mars had a chance to look at the Infiniti GX50.
Right.
And it's always nice to get into these
luxury
compacts,
cars,
but luxury car in particular, and then you get into the compact, smaller vehicles, kind of see what they've done to them as they kind of shrink them down.
Yeah, this is bigger than compact. But
Well,
yeah.
it's considered a small luxury. It's actually considered a compact. And It actually comes in 5 different trim levels. It's kind of got some nice names to it, I guess. Pure, Essential. They have a new, for this year, Sensory package. And then you get up into the Autograph, which is the top of the line, which is what we had.
Of course.
The Autograph all-wheel drive. Now, if you're trying to relate this to something earlier, this was formerly known as the EX instead of the QX. You can get it in front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. No longer can you get it in rear-wheel drive. That was only in the EX package. So you're going to find that it's got the big honeycomb grill up front, like Infiniti's gone to. You've got the big floating Infiniti badge right in the middle of it, so it just kind of sits there floating looking like. LED lighting up front for the daytime running lights, the headlights, the fog lights, the tail lights, and even the welcoming lights are all LED. It's just LED everywhere. Now, it's got the motion-activated tailgate on the back of it to make it a little bit easier to get in and out of it. Got a panoramic sunroof and 20-inch, optional 20-inch wheels with run flats on it.
Wow.
And this is truly a 5-passenger vehicle. They didn't stick a third row in it, which I thought was just wonderful. Now, the Autograph, you can get an optional white leather interior. Now, this has got some blue ultra suede inserts in it in the door, the console, the dash. That's kind of, I don't know, it's different.
I like it.
And it's got the climate control on the front seats. The rear seat is a 60/40 that will recline. It'll slide forward and backwards, and it will fold down flat. And it will down flat. So you
I
got
like the center console. The center console looks good.
It's nice, and it's everything kind of flows into this compartment type thing. It had the heads-up display on it. In the center console there, you're going to find the Infiniti InTouch. It's got the dual display system, which works pretty good because it's got lots of knobs. You can adjust on one screen, and it shows up on the other screen. It doesn't necessarily, you don't have to interact between the two of them. Makes it a little bit easier. We had the Bose 16-speaker audio system in it, so it would, again, small vehicle, nice luxury interior on it. Kind of sounds really good whenever you crank it up. Now, for cargo and space, you're going to find 65.1 cubic feet, which is kind of on the high end of the vehicle because it's one of the larger compacts that you're going to find. And one thing I do think that they need to do is if you look at the shifter, the way they've done the shifter, they need to put the P back in the prenundle.
P back in the prenundle.
Park,
So you got
reverse,
You
neutral
know,
drive.
I had a
reverse,
real
neutral
bad
drive,
case of
and
a
low.
prenundle just
Well,
last week. I tried to get it taken
What did you
care
take for that?
of. A lot of drugs.
A lot of aspirin.
What the hell is a
So when you put
prenundle?
the
Wait.
shifter, the park, reverse, neutral, drive, low.
Low.
The
Prenundle. I have never in my life heard that.
You learned something
you need
today.
You need to get to East Texas.
Not
more
only
time.
is this a fun show, this is an
Educational
educational
show.
So what
with
they've
us, you'll go
done
places.
is on the shifter now, it's neutral, reverse, drive, and low. P is a separate button away from the shifter. So if you want to put it in park, you got to find the button.
It's been divorced from the rundle.
That's the prenundle. Yeah, now it's just a rundle. So
Oh, gosh.
under the hood, you're going to find a 2.0 liter variable compression engine with a turbo on it.
Variable
This is a new
compression
variable
engine.
compression engine, yes. It adjusts according to the load it needs for the compression. It'll get you up to 268 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque, and it's backed by a CVT.
A variable compression engine.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it actually changes the length in a
Yeah,
very
I've
complex
seen it
way.
demonstrated.
Changes the length of the
Stroke?
of the stroke, but of it where it does it is in the connecting rod.
Huh.
So it shortens or lengthens the
What?
connecting rod through mechanical.
There's a hinge in the connecting rod that you got to see it to believe it. That's all I can tell you.
Wow, that's
it's
weird.
pretty complex, and they're the only ones in the industry doing it right now. But it's complex in theory, but they really kind of simplified it in function.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. All right.
And the thing I noticed, though, I couldn't tell anything different as far as the way it felt to the driver, as far as the way it ran or anything. It's got a CVT behind it. And you know, and they're great with the CVTs. So you got this CVE for the engine, I guess, and a CVT. You know, I'm not sure.
And it's all about driving fuel economy. It really is, to give it the power when they want it, but to give it the fuel economy when they need it.
So it was kind of one thing I will note, speaking of that, they do recommend premium fuel on that engine. It will run on the regular fuel. It'll adjust itself, but they do recommend premium fuel. And out on the highway, it's got that nice Infiniti ride. Now, they've gone to the electric steering, which is easy. And to me, it's almost too easy. It's
Well,
almost like you're disconnected from the road.
Easy
Like an old
peasy.
Buick.
Yeah.
But truly on the Infiniti brand, you are disconnected. When the electric steering is functioning, it separates the mechanical connection to the front steering, and it purely does it through servos and magnets.
It's what it feels like.
Right, and if there's an electrical issue with the car, it reconnects those the mechanical connection. But again, that's another thing Infiniti's doing that none of the other manufacturers are doing, where it's steer by wire as well.
It's a lot of technology built into this vehicle that some of it you don't even see or you don't even use, that you know that you're using it. Now, if you're going to look for something to compare this to, you might look at the Acura RDX, which starts at about $37,800. Easily gets up to $47,900 plus options on the high end. Cadillac XT4 that we've been looking at recently, $35,695 to start. Easily gets up to the $43,000 range plus option. A Volvo XC60 starts at $41,550, so it starts out a little bit higher, but it'll also get up to $52,650 higher. Now, base QX50. Now, you can get this vehicle base, and I'm talking about cloth interior. You're not talking about the high-end luxury aspect. $37,250. Nice starting point. However, the QX50 Autograph, which is the top of the line, starts at $55,850.
Actually, that's not too bad. I thought it was going to be something like 70. No, it's not bad.
Well, and then you add in a few options like we had, and MSRP is tested $61,815 for a luxury compact SUV.
Thank you, sir. Hey, the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio,